How's it going, everyone? Jeff Johnson from the Gazette here on a cloudy Wednesday afternoon with my cohorts, KJ Pilcher and Jeff Linder. We are going to talk some playoff football in our latest edition of the Prep Huddle Prep Football Podcast. Guys, we got one round in the books. We got a full schedule coming up Friday night. Every class involved. Start out with anything in the first round that kind of caught your attention, either one of you?
I think I'd just say the depth of, most, if not all of the classes. Most of those pods have 2, 3, 4 good teams in them. There really aren't too many free rides to the Dome.
Couple upsets in the smaller schools, especially 2A. When you look at, obviously, in our four downs, I think most of us mentioned Union, its win over Waukon. That was big. Union started 0-6 and won its last two regular season games to get in the playoffs, and then they go knock off a district champion 21-7. And then I think one thing that maybe that overshadows a little bit, New Hampton coming away with a win. Was it against Osage, I think? But they put up 41 points, and they're 3-5, and then the round of 16 heading to Spirit Lake. But those two wins kind of stand out from the small school kind of round of 32 or play-in game, you might kind of call it.
Let's run down all the first round scores real quick here. Class 2A will start out with Central Line Georgia Little Rock over Okoboji 42-7. Carroll Kemper beat Cherokee 47-18. Mediapolis edged Anamosa 28-21. These are all first place, fourth place district games. So Anamosa ended up playing a district champ real tough. Monticello 42-13 over North Fayette Valley. PCM shuts out Interstate 35-42-0. Spirit Lake over Southeast Valley 49-0. Van Meter beats Albia 56-7. And then, as KJ mentioned, LaPorte City Union with the big surprise 21-7 over Waukon. Third place, second place, district matchups. Comanche beat West Burlington Notre Dame 42-14. Clarinda over Des Moines Christian 56-28. Western Christian over Esterville Lincoln Central 26-14. Jessup with a nice win, and they've had a real nice season, and we've talked about that in prior podcast. Picks up a playoff win, 20-14 over Crestwood. Mid-Prairie over Northeast, 49-18. New Hampton beats West Marshall, 41-21. Roland Story over Osceola Clark, 42-16. West Lyon shuts out Clarion Goldfield Dows, 50-0. We'll run down. Let's go 1A here real quick. Emmitsburg wins over Ridgeview. Sorry about the cat, 20-8. 50-14. Grundy Center over Cascade. MFL Marmac 55-3 over Hudson. OABCIG beat Shenandoah 49-14, proving that you don't need Cooper DeJean to win football games, I guess. Iowa City Regina 48-20 over Eddyville Blakesburg. Fremont.
That helps.
It does help. Sigourney Keota 52-7 over West Central Valley. South Hamilton beats Denver 24-8. Underwood over East Sac County 44-6. Waterloo Columbus 47-6 over Pocahontas. AHSTW 21-0 over Hinton. Dyke New Hartford beats Manson Northwest Webster. Sorry about that, Dale Jones, 51-6. In that ball game, Trainer beats West Sioux 31-13. Sumner Fredericksburg 31-26. Closer than expected over South Hardin. Pella Christian shuts out Ogden 43-0. West Branch 35-20 over Pleasantville. Wilton wins 49-21 over Woodward Granger. 8-player. Actually, let's go Class A real quick. ACGC, not ACDC. That's ACGC. Over Mount Air, 34-18. Akron Westfield, 35-0 over Tri-Center. Lisbon with a 14-6 win over North Lynn. Very competitive ball game. I was at that one at Lisbon Friday night. It was all North Lynn in the first half. Outgained Lisbon like 230-18. But only had a 6-0 lead, and that proved significant because Lisbon in the second half came back and won that one 14-6. Mandarin over ICAM Manning 45-7. St. Ansgar 23-6 over Sibley Ochaden. Starmont shuts out North Butler 17-0. Wapsie Valley 43-6 over Danville. Woodbury Central 51-13 over North Union. Macocata Valley 57-21 over Columbus Junction. Central Decatur 14-13 over Earlham. East Buchanan 46-3 over South Winneshiek. The only overtime game of the first round was Logan Magnolia getting past South Central Calhoun 26-20. Linville Sully 28-6 over Pekin. MMCRU over Kingsley Pearson 50-14. Lake Mills 21-14 over Nashville Plainfield. West Hancock 38-22 over Lamar's Galen. 8-player Clarksville beat Turkey Valley. Winfield Mount Union over Belle Plaine. Audubon over Booyer Valley. Algona Garrigan beats Janesville. Bedford over Fremont Mills. Iowa Valley 78. BGM 77. KJ, you have, I think, a little input on that, or information on that unbelievably wild game, right?
Yeah. I think Lindy kind of might have pointed out 709 offensive yards and 10 touchdowns. And that's just from Bo Burns, right? Passed for 444 yards, ran for another 265, and that's on the end that came up short, right? So pretty, what was the old joke that I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out?
Yeah, right. I went to a track meet,
football game, and a track meet broke out, or vice versa.
Oh my goodness. Anita Cam was the winner over at Southeast Warren. Central City rebounded from a poor first half to beat Lansing Key 52-28. Jeff, you were there, right?
I was there. And halftime Key High's up 2014, and Central City's got one of its top kids, on the trainer's bench with maybe a knee, maybe an ankle injury. I would say things didn't look bleak for Central City, but it was in the neighborhood, and they came out and got a touchdown on the first drive to tie the game. And then they scored on a defensive touchdown on a strip and sack and scoop and score, or whatever they call it these days, to take the lead. And they didn't trail again. And they really started moving the ball well in the second half. There were, 5 or 6 punts in that game. And Central City had 7 takeaways. So, and that's a lot. So it was a good game. It was enjoyable, and Central City's got a really nice setup up there.
They do, 100%. Very, very good people too. I think we all know that. We all been up there before. What did they have in the crock pots, Jeff? I'm curious.
Like Smoky Joe's or smoky meatballs, lathered in some kind of tasty but unhealthy sauce that was pretty good. So lots of meats and cheeses and crackers, and I probably gained 5 pounds.
Awesome. Other scores real quick. Don Bosco beat Edco 62-22. Remsen St. Mary's over Harris Lake Park. Gladbrook Rhinebeck 64-18 over Montezuma. Waco beats Baxter. Out in Western Iowa, Exira EHK beats Glidden Ralston. Lennox over Woodbine. Moravia beats Sloan Tree 45-33, and West Bend Mallard is a winner over Riceville 64-26. Anything in the bigger classes now? Marion, again, unfortunately in 3A or 4A, turns out boys to be number 17 in a 16 team field. Unfortunately, the Wolves lost up at Waverly Shell Rock, and then just kind of got lost out on points, I guess. Disappointment. Got to be disappointing, right? Marion to be number 17 2 years in a row.
Yeah, they were 6-3, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's too bad. Last year I think they were really kind of tickled with the way last season ended. They won, I think, 3 or 4 straight games to finish 5-4 and be the 17th team. Had they been the 16 team, they probably would have played Xavier in the first round, which would have been a really, really tough draw. This year, I'm sure the feelings aren't as happy. They kind of had everything in their own hands, and it got away from them. To a team that, yeah, it was a lot better than its record, but still that record was 2-6.
Yep. And when you have that control, right? You control your own destiny, I guess. And unfortunately, when that destiny doesn't turn out to be too good, it feels, I'm sure, even worse for the Wolves. But nonetheless, a really solid season at 6-3. Guys, we got Linmar, Kennedy, Prairie all made the 4A field. City High did as well in or 5A field, excuse me, and then 4A Xavier's in. Any surprises in from your vantage point as far as teams that made it in 3A, 4A, or 5A?
I would just say that reiterate that I was surprised and kind of disappointed that Marion didn't make it. But other than that, not really. KJ?
Yeah, I think especially in 5A, I think everything kind of went according to plan. The only thing was I think Linmar was the one kind of dangling with a lot of strings depending on how a lot of different games turned out, and they still were able to get in despite the 28-14 loss to Pleasant Valley. So no real surprises there, but just that was the only one that was maybe in limbo a little bit, but a lot of dominoes had to fall to work against them. And the biggest one with Prairie's win, sounds like they were fine as long as Iowa City West didn't come out on top for the most part.
Let's run down the pairings real quick. In 5A, since we're talking about that class, as you guys mentioned, Linmar makes it. One of two under 500 teams to make the playoffs in the class. 4-5 record, and the reward is to play at number 1 defending champion Southeast Polk, 9-0. And the other team or the other group, two teams in Pod A are Cedar Rapids Kennedy and Cedar Falls. Played a couple of weeks ago in the UNI-Dome with Cedar Falls winning, and here they are matched up in the first round back at the UNI-Dome. Thoughts on that game? I gotta think Kennedy is going to be really, really motivated to win that game, right, guys?
Right. I think they've suffered the last 2 years. They suffered two disappointing losses, and maybe even seems like games they lost more than maybe Cedar Falls had won. Um, and that burns at you a little bit. But the thing that I thought the association was going to work to try to avoid these late season rematches. Remember with the whole Prairie Linmar, not
Last year,
necessarily debacle, but that situation. And here we have Kennedy and Cedar Falls playing for the second time in 3 weeks, and we have a direct rematch, just like Prairie Linmar. With Iowa City High heading back down to Bettendorf after just walloping the Bulldogs in week 9. So, yeah. Interestingly, Kennedy's an interesting situation because they're in one where they have a tough draw, but yet it's still something I could see them conquering. It's going to be an uphill climb, but one they could make if they play at the top of their game and things fall their way. It's kind of two sides of a coin where it's tough, but I wouldn't be that surprised to see them in the UNI-Dome.
And you look at it, guys, and 6-3 record, and those two losses were the, as we've been talking about, the close loss up at the UNI-Dome a couple of weeks ago, and then what was it, 1 or 2 overtime loss at Pleasant Valley, back in week whatever it was, week 2, I think it was. So how close is Kennedy from being 8-1? Played Dowling tough in the season opener as well, but you got to win those games, I guess, and that's made a direct impact on the seeding, for the Cougars, and it's not going to be easy, but KJ, but I agree. I think they can win this game Friday night. Not saying they will, but can, and then I think they can probably play with Southeast Polk. So we'll have to wait and find out on that. Let's run through the rest of.
One more thing. Don't forget between those two losses that they had with Pleasant Valley and Cedar Falls, they were playing as well as anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they were absolutely steamrolling teams.
Yep.
Oh, and then they bounced back week 9 against Davenport North, as they should have. But that's a team that, some big things could be in front of them here if they click.
The rest of the pods in 5A here, and I just had it on my screen, and of course I just kicked them off. Let's see. Here we go. Pod B in 5A, we've got Sioux City East 5-4 at or against West Des Moines Dowling 8-1. That'll be at Williams Stadium on the campus of Des Moines East. Johnston 5-4 at Ankeny 6-3. Pod C is West Des Moines Valley, the other under 500 team to get in the 5A field, plays at Pleasant Valley 8-1. Cedar Rapids Prairie 5-4 goes to Waukee 7-2. And then Pod D is Ankeny Centennial 5-4, Waukee at Waukee Northwest 7-2, and then the aforementioned City High Bettendorf rematch from last week at the same place, Tubell Stadium in Bettendorf. City High being 6-3, Bettendorf 7-2. Any thoughts on that? I mean, do you feel like Prairie can go out and give Waukee a game, guys? And if I remember correctly, Valley and Pleasant Valley played last year in the first round, and Valley squished them, if I remember correctly. Do I have
West Des Moines Valley?
Yeah, and I think that was a 15-2 or maybe or 14-3. I guess the one thing I'll say, would any of us really be surprised if a 6-5 Valley team is at the Dome in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever?
Nope, not me.
Not right now, but I think we talked and we're close to playing taps on the West Des Moines Valley season. When they started maybe 0-4. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
I think they were.
I think we had the shovel full of dirt getting ready to throw it on their casket there, and look what they've done. They bounced back probably about 4-1 or what have you. They played an extremely tough schedule, and as you mentioned, they've done it once before, going over to PV and getting an upset. They know what it takes and what it's like, and you got to think they're confident heading back east. And nothing would surprise me really coming out of Pod C.
Let's look at Class 4A, the round of 16 here. Pod A has Newton 6-3 at Western Dubuque 8-1. I have to think Western Dubuque's a pretty prohibitive favorite there. Decorah 6-3 makes the long trip down to North Scott 7-2. Gosh, that's got to be 3+ hours, guys. Now that I think of it, right? Probably. From Decorah to basically Davenport, the Quad Cities.
Yeah.
My goodness. Pod B, Lamar 7-2 at Council Bluffs, Lewis Central 7-2, ADM 6-3 at Denison, Schleswig 7-2. A lot of 7-2s in that pod. Pod C, Norwalk 5-4 at Glenwood 7-2. Pella 6-3 at Bondurant for our 7-2. Then Pod D, Huxley Ballard 5-4 at North Polk 7-2. Indianola 6-3 at Cedar Rapids Xavier 7-2. And I think we've talked about it a lot, guys, but 4A is definitely that class where it's like, all right, you want to throw a dart at one of these teams, you might have a pretty good shot at seeing it hoist the trophy. At the end of this thing, anything that catches you in the pairings. Pilch, you're going to be at Xavier on Friday night for, I think, what's going to be a really good football game, right? Indianola and the Saints.
Yeah, and I think these two teams faced off each other in the playoffs last year, maybe in the quarters. And if I remember right, I think it was a wet, sloppy kind of game that Xavier gutted out and won, maybe pulled away a little bit in the second half. And I think 40% chance of rain, and temperatures are probably going to drop below 50 Friday. So we might have kind of a similar type of game. Xavier's played better here, and coming down the stretch, the schedule is a little bit lighter, and Indianola is part of that Central Iowa group that they're really beating up on each other with week in and week out. So that could be a really interesting game. I think you've mentioned Xavier's kind of changed some personnel around from the beginning of the season, and that seemed to work out for him as well. So it'll be interesting to watch that one. Um, and really looking at these pods where you have, Lewis Central, ADM, you've got Bondurant for our Glenwood. Pella has knocked off some really good teams, and then they've taken a couple goofy losses. And then you got Xavier, Indianola, North Polk. I know Ballard's received votes, but they're probably on the outside looking in, I think, in that foursome. Western Dubuque seems to be the real only lock out of those pods. And then you've got Decorah and North Scott, which I believe North Scott's getting their quarterback, Girardi.
Right, yeah, Kyler Girardi. Yep.
Yep, he's coming back. Or maybe even some action in week 9. But you mentioned Decorah heading to North Scott. I think a few years ago, Decorah went down to North Scott and upset them down there in the playoffs before. So, might be a little different with, Girardi coming back, but Western Dubuque, I think, is the only one I'd be really confident to pin as a likely semifinalist out of those 4 pods.
Let's go at 3A now. Class 3A. Pod A is Harlan 6-3 at Creston 9-0. Nevada 7-2 at Webster City 7-2. Pod B, Fort Madison 6-3 at Solon 8-1. Davenport Assumption 7-2 at West Delaware 6-3. Pod C, Humboldt 5-4 makes the trip to Williamsburg 8-1. The Raiders are. Independence, excuse me, 7-2 at Mount Vernon 8-1. And then Pod D is Algona 6-3 at Sioux Center 8-1, and then Sioux City Heelan 8-1 at Clear Lake 8-1. What catches your eye, I guess, on these? To me, it's Assumption West Delaware. Seems like a really interesting matchup to me. Got to think Mount Vernon will be favored over Independence, though. Again, if the weather's not great, that could affect the passing game, and certainly, guys, I think Williamsburg's pretty prohibitive favorite over Humboldt, right? And
yeah.
Solon pretty big favorite over Fort Madison.
Yeah, really big. The thing that kind of catches my eye is the strength of the pod that Creston is in.
Yes.
Here you are, you're number 1. You got to play Harlan right out of the chute, and then maybe get Nevada. Well, then definitely get either Nevada or Webster City. Certainly not a cakewalk pod to the UNI-Dome for the number 1 Panthers.
The only undefeated team in the class.
Yeah. And a very good team. They've beaten Harlan. They've beaten Lewis Central. They didn't stumble upon that 9-0 record.
No, exactly. KJ, I mean, you've seen West Delaware. What do you think about that Assumption West Delaware matchup?
West Delaware has a real strong leader in Brent Yankovic. When I watched them against Maquoketa Valley, they were pretty stingy on defense, pretty dominant. Yankovic, a real dual threat on the offensive side. They've got some good wins throughout the season. I don't know if they have enough to take down Assumption. And the one that I'm really kind of looking forward to is, a possible rematch in the Pod B final between Solon and Davenport Assumption. Right now, Solon's won 8 straight games. They're 8-1. They're 1 loss to Assumption at the beginning of the season. So I guess right now, West Delaware could be a fly in the ointment to that, but they're going to need a big game out of Yankovic, both throwing the ball and rushing, and have that defense really solidify against the Knights.
How much fun would a second round game between Williamsburg and Mount Vernon be?
Oh,
Yeah, big time, right?
boy.
Who would get the host there? Who's got the higher
I think Mount Vernon, because they're a district champ.
Okay. Um and I do apologize to everybody for this cat keeping climbing on my lap here. He's won't stop. So let's go class 2A, pot A as Roland Story 7-2 at Central Lyon, George Little Rock 9-0, Clarinda 7-2 at Carroll Kemper 7-2. Then pot B as the Cinderella Knights from LaPorte City Union 3-6 at Van Meter 9-0. And Mid Prairie 5-4 at PCM 7. Christian 7-2 at West Lyon 8-1. New Hampton, another team that won a first round game with the losing record. They're 4-5 at Spirit Lake 8-1. Then Pod D is Jessup 6-3 at Monticello 8-1. Comanche 5-4 at Mediapolis 7-2. I like, needless to say, I like Monticello coming out of Pod D, right, guys? I think they're pretty heavy favorite in those four. Pretty decent draw.
Yeah. Jessup's been a nice story. Third playoff berth ever. I'm not sure they had ever won a playoff game before the first round win last week. I don't know if they were 0-2 or 1-2, but it's been a really nice story. I think it probably ends this week at Monticello. Monticello is really good, but and that's another game where if the weather's crummy and they can't throw it all over the place and rely on their big plays, maybe that becomes a little bit of a mutter, and who knows in one of those.
I still like Preston Reese even in a mutter game. Maybe not. KJ, you've seen him play. He's pretty special, right?
Saw him last week against North Fayette Valley, and impressive. I'm not sure really covers it. He accounted for 6 touchdowns. He rushed for the first 4 for Monticello. Broke a 61-yarder and then plunged in from one on another. So it doesn't matter if it's breaking one or getting a hard yardage. He can do both. Had 412 yards of total offense for Monticello, 204 rushing, 208 passing. He's got some really, really good targets. Peyton Schilling, Ty Hallman, Lambert. There's Easton Prohl had a big game against North Fayette Valley, so he can spread the ball, and he's got a lot of weapons, and then he can tuck it and run it. And let's not forget about what he does on the defensive side. I think he led Monticello with 9 tackles, 2.5 for loss. 6 of them were solo. So, boy, he does a little bit everything. I think he might even drive the bus down to the football field for the team and do laundry afterwards. I mean, he does just about everything for them. And the playoffs. Yeah, it's a team effort, but how many times have we seen one player really, kind of will their team to the UNI-Dome a little bit? And I think Preston Reese, especially with, no disrespect, Comanche or Mediapolis on the other side of this Monty Jessup game, but I think this is Monticello's pod to lose pretty much, and he's going to be a big factor in them moving on.
KJ, you've seen obviously him and Derek Weisskopf. Are they similar type athletes, similar type players? Because I think they're both going to Iowa as linebackers, right?
Right. I'm not sure. I ignorant to what Reese is projected as. But I think they have similar builds to him.
Okay.
To be honest with them, I think Weisskopf's maybe a little more athletic. maybe a little faster, but Reese is right there. So they're gonna have two really good. I'm not gonna go so far as to say they're Cooper DeJean like, right? After what we've seen him do at the next level, but boy, they certainly are really, really talented guys that could be a difference maker if they progress once they get down to Iowa City.
Yeah, yes, that was the very first playoff win for Jessup. So kudos to the Jayhawks on that. They were 0-2 in their previous two trips to the postseason. So that's an excellent football season from the Jessup Jayhawks, no question. So let's move on to Class 1A, Pod A. We have got Pella Christian 7-2 at Grundy Center 9-0, and then Dyke New Hartford 6-3 at Sigourney Keota 8-1. Pod B is, as Lindy affectionately calls them, Ostwa, AHSTW 6-3 at Underwood 8-1. And not to be outdone, of course, Trainer 8-1 then at OABCIG 7-2, which of course brings up the potential dream matchup of AHSTW and OABCIG in the next round, in the round of 8. So Pod C, Sumner Fredericksburg 8-1 at Emmitsburg 7-2, and then Waterloo Columbus 7-2 at South Hamilton 8-1. Then Pod D, which has multiple area teams for us. West Branch 6-3 goes up to Monona to play MFL Marmac 8-1, and then Wilton 8-1 at Iowa City. Regina 8-1, and I believe they just played a couple of weeks ago with Regina winning handily at Wilton. So anything in in the Class 1A round of 16 here that kind of catches your eyes, guys?
From a local standpoint, that Pod D is going to be great. Would it be a major surprise if any of those four teams come out of there? I don't know. Maybe Wilton would be a big surprise, especially after what Regina did to them last time. But West Branch's history, and obviously Regina. I think MFL is probably the best team in that pod, but they got to win 2 games.
MFL West Branch rallied in the second half and in the fourth quarter, specifically last year to knock off MFL in this particular game. So I'm sure that there are a lot of memories out there from the Bulldogs players. Actually, I think it was round of 8 to go to the UNI-Dome. Now that I think about it, so interesting there. Any of the other pods that I see Pod C is. Probably Sumner Fredericksburg, but I think anything you can make a case for probably all 4 of those teams there, and got to think Underwood's probably a pretty heavy favorite in B, and somebody's going to have to knock off Grundy Center. Unfortunately, Sigourney Keota got placed in that Pod A, potentially opposite Grundy Center there. Sigourney Keota's had a great year, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't look past them. Grundy Center's had a couple close games, maybe earlier in the season. Sigourney's ground game is pretty has carried them a long way. So, that might be a real fun quarterfinal matchup.
Never underestimate the single wing, boys. So, all I can say.
Especially when you get to November.
Exactly. Let's go to Class A, where we've got Pod A. Lake Mills 7-2 at St. Ansgar 9-0. East Buchanan 7-2 at Lisbon 9-0. Pod B has MMCRU at Woodbury Central 9-0. Logan Magnolia 8-1 is playing Akron Westfield 8-1, and that game will be at Lamar's. Pod C, West Hancock 8-1 at Starmont 8-1. Maquoketa Valley 7-2 at Wapsie Valley 8-1. Pod D, Central Decatur 6-3 at Madrid 9-0, and then Linville Sully 8-1 at Adair KC Guthrie Center 9-0. You look at the 2 pods here, guys, containing our area teams. To me, it was interesting the way they got split up. Would you agree?
Yeah. I feel bad for Starmont. They won a district title. and they've got a tougher draw than East Buchanan has or Maquoketa Valley has. So that's kind of a shame, but I guess that's what you get when, you've got a runner-up as good as West Hancock. They got to go somewhere.
I'm looking at that pot A. I don't know, man. I know Pilch has liked them all season. East Buchanan, St. Ansgar. If that happens in the next round, that game might last an hour and a half because we know exactly what both teams are going to do, and that is just run right at you, right?
Right. The old slobber knocker type ground and pound game. If those two were to meet, but yeah, I thought East Buck was maybe the best team I actually out of that district, even though Starmont put it to them. When they went up there, I think the clash of styles here for East Buck, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it, because you've got a really athletic, speedy Lisbon team versus more of a kind of punchy in the mouth, grind it out East Buck team. And that clash of styles, I think, is gonna make for a real fun game. And then we'll see if we get those two heavy hitters against each other, or if Lisbon will have another clash of styles with a chance to get back to the Unidome.
Yeah, and I'm not.
And I think it's a coin flip, to be honest with you, with East Buck and Lisbon. I think that'll be a coin flip, but right now I lean towards East Buck.
I agree, KJ, and I'm not meaning to discount anything that Lisbon's done, because 9-0 is 9-0, and like you said, good athletes. At the skill positions, the quarterback, the running backs, etc., receivers, experienced, big line. Certainly, we could be looking at a St. Ansgar Lisbon, second or next round game here. And, Pod C, I don't know. I think Starmont can play with West Hancock. We'll have to wait and see. And again, the weather might play a factor in this too. I think both those teams are pretty ground oriented, and we'll see if Maquoketa Valley can move the football on a Wapsie Valley defense that's been very, very good, by and large all season there in Pod C. So let's go to 8-player. Pod A has Moravia 8-2 at Winfield Mount Union 9-0. And then Waco 7-1 at Don Bosco 8-1. Pod B, Exira EHK at Bedford 9-0. And then Lennox 8-1 against the Audubon Wheelers 8-1 at Audubon. Pod C, West Bend Mallard 7-2 at Cumberland Anita Messina 9-0. Remsen St. Mary's 9-0 at Algona Garrigan 8-1. And then our area teams are in Pod D here. Iowa Valley 7-2 at Clarksville 10-0. Gladbrook Rhinebeck 8-1 at Central City 8-1. Tall task for Iowa Valley. Might have to score another 77 and 78 and hope it holds up again. Central City's got a real tough task, obviously, as well at home with Gladbrook Rhinebeck. Lindy, what do you think of the Wildcats' chances here? It's a tough draw.
I would really like the Wildcats' chances if they were fully healthy. If both the Klostermans were playing, I think it's going to be tough. Gladbrook Rhinebeck's a really strong team year in, year out. They're not going to be scared when the lights go on here in this kind of a setting. I think Central City is going to have a tough time in this one. I don't think it's impossible by any means. They've still got a good cast, but that's going to be a tough one, and we'll wait and see.
Really interesting. Winfield Mount Union and Don Bosco being thrown together. They're in a potential next round game there.
And I think both of those teams, particularly that Don Bosco, I mean, they'll have their hands full this Friday. Waco's a fine team. Moravia can score points. So, I I would pick Winfield and Don Bosco, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion.
All right, guys, I'm going to put you on the spot here. We're going to pick the pod winners just to show how much I know KJ's churning inside going, JJ,
I hate this.
you
I
idiot.
I almost swore. I hate this stuff. We'll say stuff.
We
Oh.
hey, bulletin board material. We haven't provided any bulletin board material, I don't think, for anybody this season. So
Great.
I'm sure we have.
Then I'll have to listen to a crowd giving me a hard time and
yes, let me
players.
let's leave KJ alone, folks. If you're out and
Just in
about and
general.
seeing
Just in general.
all right, 5A, Pod A. What do you got? Limbar, Southeast Polk, Kennedy, and Cedar Falls. I'll even start it off here. I'm gonna go out on a limb and pick Southeast Polk to come out of here.
I
I'm on
agree.
the same limb. Yep.
Pod B, Sioux City East, Dowling, Johnston, Ankeny. Lindy, you want to go first?
I'll go Dowling, but I think they're going to have a tough second rounder.
Okay. Pilch?
I'm going Sioux City East. No, Dowling all the way.
Yeah, Dowling for me as well. Pod C, this is kind of a thinker. Valley, Pleasant Valley, Prairie, or Waukee? Pilch?
I'll go with Waukee.
I guess I'm up next. I'm gonna say Valley gets it done, man. Another surprise trip to the Dome.
West Des Moines Valley?
Yep.
Okay.
Lindy?
No, I'm going Valley too.
All right.
But I just want you guys to clarify because I don't want you to they're both valleys.
That's true.
Guys,
That's true.
in the first round. I don't want you to hedge your bet.
I'll tell you, I'm going to go Valley over Prairie.
West Des Moines Valley over Prairie. Wow, yep. Lynn really throwing
both
himself.
Road teams win.
All right, man, and that would be. I think the next round then would be a Prairie. That'd be cool. I'd like that. I'd like that. So I'm going West Des Moines Valley, not Pleasant Valley. So Pod D, Centennial, Waukee Northwest, City High, Bettendorf. I guess I'm up first again. Boy,
I'll go first in this one. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I think this is my upset special. I'm going City High. I think there's something with the Little Hawks at last few, probably since the Kennedy game. I think they've hit a different gear. I think this is a team that they've already shown they can go Bettendorf and win big. They did that last week. Do it again, and then heading to Central Iowa. I think it's a winnable game in the quarters.
Bobby Bacon's come in and done a great job at quarterback, right? Replacing Drew Larson, who broke a thumb and had to move to defense only. Bacon's done a real nice job. That being said, I'm going with Waukee Northwest here. Lindy?
I'm going Northwest as well.
Northwest, okay. All right, 4A, Pod A, Newton, Western Dubuque, Decorah, North Scott. I'm going to say Western Dubuque.
Same.
Okay.
Western Dubuque.
Look out for North Scott. I'm telling you, that's a good ball club, especially if Girardi's healthy. Pod B, Lamar's, Lewis Central, ADM, Denison, Schleswig.
Whose turn?
How about Lindy?
Titans.
Titans. All right. KJ?
I'll jump on the Titan bandwagon for that one as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think ADM's lost 2 in a row here at the end of the season. And really, would Denison be anything without Schleswig? Let's be honest. Schleswig actually had a great small school program. I believe
they did. Didn't they win a Class A football title way back when?
Yep, back in the day. Yep, I agree. I think that's right, Lindy. So,
Pod B, step foot in Denison again, but that's all right.
Pod C, Norwalk, Glenwood, Pella, Bondurant, Ferrara. This is a real thinker. So KJ, you're up first.
I'm going with Glenwood.
I'm
going with the Rams. I've had the Rams in the back half of my top 10 pretty much all season, and I like them. I think Bondurant just have a pretty serious injury to one of their top players.
Yep.
I like Glenwood getting through.
All right, Lindy.
I'm gonna go Pella. If Up and Down Pella can be up for 2 games, I'm gonna go with the Dutch.
I'm in your line of thinking. I like the hot ball club here, and to me that's Pella. So I'm going with Pella as well. Then Pod D, Ballard, North Polk, Indianola, and Xavier. I'll go first, and I'm going to pick the Saints. Got to beat them, otherwise I don't see it happening with these 3.
I'm with you.
KJ.
You guys are really making me do this. Realize I have to go there Friday.
Your daughter attends the Xavier there. Okay, we'll assume that you're just going to say Xavier. So,
Well, to be honest, 100% honest, I'm thinking North Polk.
okay.
I'm thinking North Polk, but out of my own safety, and I don't want the refrigerator with the pop and water to be locked when I get up to the press box. I'm going to say I'll go along with both of you guys and say the Saints. Just
All right. Class 3A, Pot A, Harlan, Creston, Nevada, and Webster City. Lindy, I think you're up first.
Creston's had a great year, and it's hard to go against them. But it's also hard to go against Harlan's tradition. So I'm going to go with the Cyclones.
Okay. KJ?
I'm going to go with Creston.
Okay. Boy. How can you discount any of these? You can't discount any of these 4 teams.
Mm-mm.
Like, you can make a case for all of them. I'm going with Creston. It's kind of been a dream year. I'd say Creston here in Pod A. Pod B, Fort Madison, Solon, Assumption, and West Delaware. I think I'm up first. Or no, KJ, are you up first? No, you just were first. I'll go. I got Solon.
Solon.
I'll go Assumption.
Okay. Fair enough. Wade King.
I'll pick Assumption from the visitors' bleachers.
Oh yeah.
Inside joke. But
I gotcha. Pod C, Humboldt, Williamsburg, Independence, Mount Vernon, Lindy.
Williamsburg.
Okay. KJ.
oh man, could Williamsburg, Mount Vernon be 6-1, half a dozen of the other any more than it is? I think it's a coin flip, but I've kind of been a Raiders homer over the years, and I'm going to go with them again. They've never really let me down, so I like Williamsburg, and I'll go with them out of Pod C in a tight one with Mount Vernon in the quarters.
Man, this is tough. Flip that coin, right? I'll go Williamsburg as well. I say that, and I'm at Mount Vernon Friday night, so that's Jeff Johnson. I don't expect any free popcorn now. So
no popcorn for you.
Nope. Pod D, Algona, Sioux Center, Sioux City, Heelan, and Clear Lake. Another one that's kind of an interesting little pod here. Let's see.
I'll go.
Kate,
I think it's my turn.
Yep.
I'm going with Sioux Center out of this group. I think they've been one of the best teams in the entire class, really. They're not around. Yeah, I'll just go Sioux Center.
I'm going to agree with you, Pilch, on this one. I like Sioux Center here. Lindy?
I wouldn't say that they've quietly been really good, but they kind of have. I mean, we don't talk about them much. They've always kind of been, in the 4, 5, 6 range in our poll every week. They're really good. And I'm going with Sioux Center as well, with quite a bit of confidence.
Okay. All right. I love it. Where are we at here? Class 2A. First pod A is Roland Story, Central Lion George, Little Rock, Clarinda, and Carol Kemper and definitely Central Lyon feel very strongly about this one. Lindy?
Yeah, that's a good pod. But I think all four teams are in our top 10 this week.
Okay.
But there's a lot of difference between being in the top 10 and being number one. And I think Central Lyon Georgia Little Rock's the best team in the class.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. Pod B. Let's see. LaPorte City Union, Van Meter, Mid Prairie, and PCM. I think Lindy, are you up first?
Yeah, that's Van Meter by a pretty good margin.
Okay. Agreed, KJ?
Yep, agreed. Van Meter.
Yep, me as well. Pod C, Western Christian, West Line, New Hampton, and Spirit Lake, Pilcher.
I'm gonna go with West Lyon here, but I would not be surprised if Spirit Lake ends up in the UNI-Dome, but I'll go with West Lyon to do it.
I had West Line ranked number one most of the year. And I'm gonna ride with them in this pod. Lindy?
Yeah, me too. Western Christian and Spirit Lake are fine teams, but very fine teams. And I think Western can hang with West Lyon in the next round, but I'm gonna go with the Wildcats as well.
All right, Pod D, Jessup, Monticello, Comanche, Mediapolis. We all kind of talked about this a little bit. I think I'm up first here, and I really like Monticello here.
Yep.
Guys, agreed?
Same here.
Yep.
Nope.
After watching them last week, I have no doubt that they'll be able to come through and make it to the UNI-Dome.
All right, Class 1A, Pella Christian, Grundy Center, Dyke New Hartford, Sigourney, Keota, and Pod A. Who's first here? Is it Lindy?
I think it's me.
No, Pilch. All right.
I'm gonna go with the safe bet here and say Grundy Center, but I'm telling you, if you sleep on Sigourney Keota, it's gonna burn you. I think they have the ability to get through this pod, but I'm gonna be kind of I'm gonna be cowardly and just go with Grundy Center 9-0 and not have the fortitude to pick an upset there.
Lindy?
I think Grundy Center beat Dyke. Was it 7-6 in the first week of the season?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
Boy, I'm gonna pick whoever wins that bottom game to upset Grundy in the second round. I'm not sure which team it's gonna be though. I'll get wild and crazy and I'll say Dyke over Grundy.
Okay, I like it. I'm gonna make it three different picks here. I'm going Sigourney Keota. I don't know why. I
So
think
you
Pella
guys
Christian.
have the Stones.
Yeah, Pella Christian if Pella Christian's gonna give Grundy Center a game, my opinion. In that first round. So let's go Pod B, HSTW, Underwood, Trainer, OABCIG. Underwood's probably the pretty heavy favorite here. Anybody want to pick somebody else?
Nope.
Underwood all the way.
Pod C, Sumner, Fredericksburg, Emmitsburg, Waterloo, Columbus, and South Hamilton. And I think Lindy's up first.
Sumner Fred.
All right. Pilch?
I'm going to say Sumner Fred, and I'm also going to go out on a limb and say that both of the road teams are going to win this round of 16.
That's I like that. I like your thinking.
I see Columbus, Sumner Fred, and the spot to go to the semis.
Man, Sumner Fredericksburg had a tougher than expected first round game. I got to be honest, I don't know much about South Hamilton. I think Columbus is a quality club. Boy. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Waterloo Columbus in a bit of an upset. How's that? They have to win two upsets. So I'm going with the Sailors. Then Pod D, West Branch, MFL, Marmac, Wilton, and Regina. I like MFL here, guys. Lindy?
Same MFL, and I'm thinking if I had to go all the way with this, I'd go probably Underwood over MFL in the finals.
Wow. Okay. Pilch?
So in the second round, who would host if MFL and Regina both won?
I believe it would be.
I think they go to the alphabet there.
Is that right? So it would
I
be
think so.
first or last in the
I don't
alphabet?
know.
And would they go by Regina of Iowa City or Iowa City Regina?
Well,
I think it goes with R.
Yeah, I agree. That's the way they have it listed here on the IHSAA's site. So,
Okay.
yeah, that
We
could.
don't know. Oh, so torn. Lindy, you went with MFL, right?
Yeah.
I'll go with Regina just to be a contrarian.
That's not outrageous whatsoever. So, Class A, Pot A, Lake Mill, St. Ansgar, East Buchanan, and Lisbon. I think I'm first. I'm going with the Buccaneers, man. I just think they're gonna get it done. East Buchanan. Lindy?
I'll go St. Ansgar, but if it's St. Ansgar and East Buck, I think that'll be a lot of fun.
All right, Pilchy.
Hey, I've kind of tooted the horn for the Buccaneers most of the season, and I like Lisbon. I think I'll just say whoever wins out of the bottom half ends up winning, and I'm going to go with East Buck.
All right. Pod B, MMCRU, Woodbury Central, Logan Magnolia, and Akron Westfield. I think KJ, are you up first here?
I can go first, and
Okay.
I'll go with Woodbury Central.
All right.
I don't think they'll be real challenged. I know Loma's there, Akron Westfield, but I think that's Woodbury Central's to lose.
Yep.
I agree. Lindy, you're with it too. All
Yep.
right. Pod C, West Hancock, Starmont, Macocata Valley, and Wapsie Valley. Lindy, you want to go first?
Yeah, West Hancock.
All right, Pilchy.
I'll go with West Hancock as well.
And I am going to join you and agree with that. So, and then Pod D, Central Decatur, Madrid, Linville, Sully, ACGC. I think it's my turn. Madrid.
Yep.
All right, so I went to Buena Vista with a football player from Madrid named Darren Sickerson, and he was tough as nails on the field and one of the nicest guys off it. So in honor of Darren Sickerson, I'm going to go with Madrid because I don't have any other way to kind of differentiate between Madrid, Linville, Sully, and ACGC.
All right. And finally, 8-player, Pade, Moravia, Winfield, Mount Union, Waco, and Don Bosco. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Well, Winfield, Mount Union.
Yep.
I think that's a team.
No, it's hard to beat an 8-player team with 2 D1 kids, so I'll agree with you. Pod B, Exira, EHK, Bedford, Lennox, Audubon. This is an interesting foursome for me. I still like Bedford.
I do too.
I'm going from the heart on this one. Audubon Wheelers. Don't let me down.
There you go, baby. Pod C, West Bend Mallard, Cumberland, Anita Messina, Remsen St. Mary's, Algona, Garrigan. Is there a defending champ who's kind of gotten less love than Remsen St. Mary's this year? What do you think, guys?
I can't go away from the team that I've had number one all year. I'll go with Cam.
All right. Bilch?
I'm in the same boat, except I've been the one that's high on Remsen St. Mary's again. I'm telling you guys, I watched them play at the state baseball tournament, and they have got some fantastic athletes. And that's one of the reasons why I wasn't so turned off about the talent that they lost from last year's team, because I saw some of those guys play on the baseball field and recognize just how strong they are. I'm going to stay with them.
And the same goes for what KJ said, except on the basketball court for me. Same thing. Great athletes, great program, great athletics program. I'm going to go Remsen as well. I don't know why, but just something about those kids. They know how to win. So
that gets overlooked.
Yep. I agree. I 100% agree. And when you're doing it in every sport, that's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. So, and then finally, Pod D, Iowa Valley, Clarksville, Gladbrook, Rhinebeck, and Central City. Oh, man. I like GR here. I'm going GR.
I'm going with you. They lost a 2-point game to Clarksville in the regular season. I think they're going to win 2 road games and play at least one more in Cedar Falls.
All right. Pilch?
I'm going to be a homer here. I really am. I'm going to call it. And I know you guys mentioned they have some injuries and stuff, but Central City, I'll take them. And I hope the Wildcats make it through.
Wildcats roar. Gotta love it. All right, now burn this tape. We didn't predict any of these games, people. So, all right, where's everybody at Friday night?
I'll be at the Class 4A matchup with number 7 Indianola and number 2 Cedar Rapids Xavier at Saints Field.
Lindy?
I'm going to be at the Cobblestone Inn in Fort Dodge watching you guys' tweets.
It is state cross country time, folks. Tell everybody about the state meet, what we got going on here. Friday and Saturday, correct?
Yeah. Friday is 4A and 1A. Saturday is 2A and 3A. And I looked at the my little weather app here. And Saturday, there's a little snowflake on there. So
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. So, I'll have my capsules and what I think is going to be a pretty neat story on the Iowa City Regina boys going into the paper Friday.
Very good. Very good. I will be at Mount Vernon, Independence and Mount Vernon. Looking forward to seeing those 2 teams and the new stadium over there at Mount Vernon. We've got other people out and about. We've got you covered Friday night. A lot of games. I will have the running scoreboard going as well at thegazette.com, on our Twitter feeds, at JJ66, JJ66, at KJ Pilcher, at Jeff Linder. Folks, exciting time of year. Join us Friday night. If you can't get out to a game, we'll have you covered Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as far as online and in the newspaper. So, fellas, I hope that wasn't too painful with the guessing game. So, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, folks, for listening as always, and we will get back at you again next week. Take care.